Vitalik, clapping. Vitalik, impressed. Happy and clapping. Vitalik is impressed. Vitalik clapping, 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 clapping. Vitalik clapping, 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 clapping.
You guys are gonna love this part.
Yo, not just to compile a change of opcodes. We're here to sustain and scale all the full nodes.
Proof of stake is hard, but what I do know is when we learn a shard, we'll change the whole game, though.
E2.0, yo, E2.0, yo, E2.0, yo, E2.0, yo. Shot 3, BLS, and Lamport, and all of this crypto just sets the stage for Merkle proofs, plasma chains, plap, plap. Seekers, knocks, coming over, quack, quack. Privacy,
Yes, this is Vitalik. So when you guys are invested in Ethereum, just remember this is a part of it.
scaling in a snap, snap. Constant products, oracles, tap, tap. Merkle proofs, plasma chains, plap, plap. Seekers, knocks, coming over, quack, quack.
Bitcoin is worthless artificial gold. Now, that is not something I think the world needs.
Somebody gave me some for my birthday, and then a few years later I thought, hey, I'm going to sell that. It's kind of a pure greater fool theory type investment. So, you know, I agree. I would short it if there was an easy way to do it.
I could care less what Bitcoin trades for, how it trades, why it trades, who trades it. If you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day. I've also told people that it can trade at $100,000 before it trades to zero.
I believe that that money should be digital, is becoming more digital, and will be effectively completely digital. Doesn't mean we need a new currency to record that.
All right, I'm going to kill it there because I don't know if I'm going to get copyrighted right away. My ball still hurts, so I'm reclined quite a bit. And yes, seeing Vitalik and his posse on stage, just remember, these are the people that created this network and help run it right now. I think it's important to realize I'm honestly, guys, I'm probably going to get incredibly frustrated between Bitcoin maxis and Ethereum maxis shit talking each other in the weeks ahead. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hate it. Here, let me... All right, let's see here. Is that better? Now I look a little less weird. I mean, I'm going to look weird no matter what. I'm reclined back with one of my balls hanging up. But, yeah, I'm going to get really annoyed with all the Bitcoin maxi bullshit and Ethereum maxi bullshit going back and forth. To be very clear on my take, Bitcoin is the store of value for the entire planet. It is the most decentralized. People in Ethereum community will be telling you that theirs is better, and then they'll go into a bunch of technical jargon. It's just not. There's something about physical proof of work that's way better across geographic locations of the entire Earth. You just can't fake it, where you can theoretically with proof of staking, which is what Ethereum does. Now, again, you're going to hear a bunch of people on both sides talk about how great their thing is. I'm listening to Bitcoin maxis talk about how you're going to get inflated away with Ethereum. And is there potential of that? Yes, but actually the inflation rate is very comparable to Bitcoin right now. So that is also a bullshit take. So try not to be on the extremes of these guys. It's not good to be on the extremes of it. Let's see, SWC community in the house, looking for group. Yeah, I feel bad for all the Bitcoin treasury people. A lot of people got into that kind of near the top when I was getting excited about it and realizing the value of it. And then it dropped a shit ton. And so that sucks. And I feel bad about it. I mean, I lost money too. Most of my money that's been lost, I got to update my portfolio, but most of the money that's actually been lost, though, was on Bitcoin miners. And then options like ARCG and stuff like that, and SQNS. That one I got butchered on. We are going to get an update, though. Ben Workman said there's going to be an update on Sequoians, SQNS, this week, so that should be good. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Ethereum treasuries, Solana treasuries have been doing really good, and the Bitcoin treasuries, I believe, have bottomed as well. We do have a lot on the agenda today. We're going to try and cover all of it. Let me just refresh over here so I can remind myself what it all is. So, will Ethereum hit a new high today? I think so. We're actually, let's real quickly pull this up and just plop it over here somewhere. Yeah, I'll put it over there. So we are about 3% away from our all-time high. I think it's going to be pretty easy to hit this, guys. And again, as you know, I believe that the peak high could be 20,000 on Ethereum, and I know that sounds absolutely insane because that's another 300+% from here, and it puts this cap into multiple trillions, right? But I do think we're going to see a large amount of money flowing into crypto. I don't think a lot of that money is going to go into all the shit coins this time around. This time is different, and I will show you why in a little bit. We're going to be looking at Benjamin Cohen's work. Also, other fears right now. Before we get to that, though, real quickly, I want to show you guys Solana, too, because there's really good stuff happening in Solana, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. We have what I believe was like a diamond-shaped pattern here. I don't have it all drawn out, but we're breaking out of it. Solana's up to $201 a coin. I believe that the tippity top on this cycle is going to be between $850 and $1,500. I believe that the massive beneficiaries from this cycle are going to be, obviously, Bitcoin is going to be, the biggest as far as overall wealth gain, not percentage-wise. And then Ethereum is going to do amazing. And then Solana, again, is a fraction of the size, guys, of these other two vessels. And we've talked about this a bunch of times, but when you have smaller vessels that have arguably good use cases, here's the way I look at it. Bitcoin, store of value for the world. Ethereum is going to be like, again, the Wall Street version, stable coins. We'll talk about, Kathy Wood had a nice little update that Tom Lee was retweeting today, talking about that and why Ethereum is kind of standing apart from Bitcoin. And then Solana, I believe that's the retail version. It's not the Wall Street version, but it's the retail version. It's fast. It's got a higher number of transactions. It's got more developers on it. If you guys don't already, follow James from Invest Answers. He'll tell you all these things. Okay. Good morning from Texas. Good morning. I'm getting my eyes looked at here. I've got macular degeneration like all old people, and so I have to get new glasses. So when I read, I'm just kind of like squinting at stuff right now. But with my new glasses, hopefully here in the next week, I'll be able to see better. My balls will be repaired. I'll have better vision, and you're going to be getting the prime version of me over the next 2 to 3 months, which are going to be crucial, guys. I am living, I am breathing, and I am eating this shit every day. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm spending 16 hours a day, probably 15 hours a day, trying to focus my energy on what's going on in the markets. Yeah, Jesse 2.0. No new parts, but getting rid of some bad ones and then fixing some. But I'm dedicating my life to the next 2 to 3 months here to try and stay on top of all of this stuff so that we can have the best entries and exits and hopefully make the best decisions that we possibly can. And I'm going to use you guys too, so I rely on all you guys. So we got to keep each other in check, and we got to make sure that we're not missing stuff. But yeah, so if you look here, the vessel for Solana is a fraction of the size, right? We're sitting at 108 billion. I think it was in the 80s last time I talked about this. You can see this massive uptick. But 108 billion, then you've got Ethereum at 564, and then you've got the monolith, Bitcoin sitting at 2.4 trillion. So again, these vessels will fill up. The smaller ones will fill up with a greater percentage. Oh, excuse me. Had to adjust my balls, and then my footrest kicked out. And then the smallest vessels will have the highest percentage gains. That's just how math works. So I'm very excited to see all of this. Very excited to see what Ethereum and Solana do today, and Bitcoin. Everything is essentially going up. It's all kind of beautiful. How is POS XRP up there? I don't know. I have no idea. It's such a fucking piece of trash. I hate XRP. Do you like UPXI? I do, and I own it. We'll get into Solana and all the other treasuries too, just to give you guys, again, the Solana treasuries are just sick. This morning we've got DFDV up almost 23% after being up 18.3 yesterday. I've got my targets. I published all these today. I'm going to be putting them in the Discord too and making sure that they're all updated on there. And again, guys, when I draw these, I probably need to get, here's the way it works. When I draw a fib-based extension, here's kind of the way it works, okay? Normally, the .618 is the retracement zone, and then the overshoot is like up here at the .786. with something like Upixie, it's probably going to look different, just because this one had a major flush out and it's still a pretty small cap. So this one might even extend up here into the 20s and beyond. It's kind of abnormal, but again, this one's doing great. 18.5% yesterday, almost 19% today. So that one I'll have to, but look, use the fib lines though as like entries and exits to figure out where we're headed and what's going to happen from there. But these are great, I think. And I'm going to be posting the Discord has all of this stuff, and or will, if I'm missing anything, I'm going to be adding it. And then also too, we'll be talking about targets and talking about those because they do get revised sometimes. You have to think about all kinds of stuff. I just talked about Metaplanet today because there are changes that happen in markets. They're not solid. They do modify all the time. There's always new information coming in, and you need to take account of all that stuff. Let me see here. I'm going to try to get caught up in chat. I have not been doing a good job in chat. Good morning. Thank you, Jesse. Get all these round circles in your body fixed. No shit, right? Sarth, time to retire our bloodlines. Yes, sir. I've already retired a lot of mine, but I want to do more. Angel says hello. We got looking for group from Christina. We've got M. Jules. Still have faith in Clean Spark shorts. So miners actually have been doing a little bit better. Again, I think they're going to underperform big time, but I still have all of my calls. I'm not selling them on drops. That's not how I do shit. I do want to say this though. I want to point out a few things. So iron, I think that's probably one of the best miner / HPC plays, but I sold it over here, guys. I'm actually really proud of this play. I sold this thing like over here, sold my leaps, got out with, I don't know, 300 or something plus % gains in my leaps. And now we've just kind of been shopping in this range. I do think we're headed for another leg higher. And I think that we could even peak out on this one, up over here, 118 to around the 40s range. I think that's probably where the peak will be on this one. But again, these kind of returns, guys, when you're talking like 50, 100% gains, unless you're doing options, which I think is risky this time of the cycle, I don't know that that's worth it, right? And I've got options in these, and I'm stuck in them right now. So, yeah, we're going to talk about alts. We're going to actually be looking at something in a second here. But again, I'm kind of stuck in these. So, of course, I'm going to hold them. Mara, I was smart enough to sell a bunch up here of my calls. Not a bunch, but maybe like a little less than 20%. Wish I would have sold more, looking back at it. But I do think these will bounce back. They'll come back around. People will get interested in them because all boats float. We've talked about this a bunch of times. But now, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where these top out at. Maybe we do still get 170% gain in Mara, or it's not even 170. Let me adjust it here to this morning. Or 172%. And then maybe still we can see over here this next fib line where we have like 105. So 105 to 172. I wouldn't go beyond that as far as a prediction though. And that is so much less. So like, and Clean Spark's no different. That is so much less than what we were looking at before with some of these others. And Clean Spark, like normally I'd go up here, and maybe that still happens. We'll just keep that in the range just in case. It is a lot smaller of a miner. It's only a 2.79 billion, so it's really unperformed dramatically. But if we just look at this here, maybe we get, I do think we'll get past this fib, but maybe we get up to 145 to 224. That's just not much. The options would do great. But again, I don't like to do that risk right now. And so I just don't know about miners right now. I'm not excited about miners at all. I do want to see them bounce back though, because I got a shit ton of options. I got 10,000 contracts between Mara and Clean Spark, and I would like those to not expire worthless. So do we have SBET new issuance news? Let me see here real quick. Let me see. Trump Sons, alts. Yeah. They're definitely Trump Sons, most of it is Ethereum, right? Most of it's Ethereum. How's my mic doing too? Let me just look over here. I'm so like not caring about what I look like here. Not even looking at the screen, whatever. All right, let's see. Did we get a new issuance report? 27 minutes. People are concerned about SBET. Meanwhile, institutions just bought 600 million worth of SBET over the last week. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I don't see anything with new issuance today, though. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be, and we're going to talk about more of that in a second. Smash the like button, you fools. Yeah, if you guys could, that'd be great. All right, so first we're going to cover U.S. economy, and then we're going to jump into other stuff. So I wanted to talk about this. It's Brian Wesbury. So first off, Charlie Bolello, Bolello, probably butchering his name. I like him. He's a good guy, but he's a little pessimistic, and he's wrong about what we're supposed to be doing for our economy to make it better. He said monetary policy should remain tight until the 11% additional inflation we've had since January 2020 above the 2% trend line is erased. There's no point in having inflation target if you're not going to adhere to it. The Fed should not be cutting rates at all this year. He's fucking wrong. You don't want deflation. So Brian Wesbury, and who is Brian? Chief economist at First Trust LP, the antidote to conventional wisdom, Eagle Scout, former chief economist and joint economic committee of the U.S. Congress. So he said this would require deflation, which may be more damaging than inflation. It is. It's why resetting the price of gold lower in history always led to severe economic contraction, like Great Depression type stuff, right? The target should be zero inflation from now on, and real rates are too high. So he's saying, no, we do need to lower rates. And Charlie is insane to say that we should stay tight and create some kind of fucking depression to somehow fix everything. After 2008, the great financial crisis, we have set a standard where that can never happen again. If we do that, the entire economic system for the fucking world unravels, and that's not something I'm looking to see. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to see that happen. Asbet has earnings on Friday. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And we had earnings, guys, too, on DFDV, one of these Solana treasuries. And that's why that's one of the main reasons they're doing so well. And again, they're in a breakout zone. So I just want to make this point real quick. So when I'm telling you that you could get, what is this? 867% to the .618 golden retracement zone. And then there's overshoot potential that gets you into the 2000% range. If we see a strong move in Solana and see some of the highs that I think can happen, which are anywhere between 800 and like 1500 for the price in Solana, currently sitting at 200. Again, these are multipliers. They're smaller vessels, and they have really strong narratives. If you want to know about Solana, ask James, my buddy, Invest Answers, right? So if this can do 800%, does Mara or CleanSpark, do they look as attractive to you at 100, 200% returns when you can get 800 to 2,000? I'm going to say not. I'm going to say not. I'm going to say that these other vessels look more attractive than that because, again, they've got a bigger multiplier. Of course, you're taking on additional risk. That is something. But it is, I don't know. I want the big dogs. I like, you know me, if anybody who knows me, I like multiple asymmetric bets pointed in different directions. And that's how I make money. I do want to listen to Stephen Moran talking about inflation. We're going to do that right now. What's the faster horse, DFDV or UPXI? I think they're similar in nature. These are pretty in-line horses. Right now, though, the faster just by a head is DFDV, but I think last week or the week before it was UPXI. They're really similar in size too. DFDV is probably the preferred, and I think that's the one that James probably talks about the most. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But let's listen to Stephen Moran talk about where is the inflation.
We ran this experiment in 2018, 2019 in the president's first term with his historic tariffs on China at that time, and the same Cassandras that were saying doom and gloom, there's going to be inflation, a recession, the world's going to end. All that stuff was said in 2018, 2019. There was no evidence of it then. There's no evidence thus far now. We've been doing tariffs in this administration since January 20th. Remember, we started with Canada, Mexico, and China from the get-go, and there hasn't been, it's now over 6 months, and there's still no evidence of it whatsoever. So the burden of proof is definitely on the naysayers here.
Okay. It totally is, and I 100% agree with that. Will the long end of the curve go up or down when the Fed cuts in September? I think it'll go down. And that is so contrarian to a lot of people. I've got this friend, Caleb Franzen. I haven't actually been following him too much lately because it's just kind of, I don't know, he's just so wrong. And I can't bear to listen to it. But maybe he'll be right again in the future. He's just not right now. So I've been saying this for a while, and I've been waiting for it to completely roll over. But there is a bearish divergence. This is a 10-year bond. There is a bearish divergence that has been going on since 2022, May of 2022. So this is like 3 years of bearish divergence where this thing wants to roll over and it hasn't yet. Yeah, we can look at SBET in a little bit. But so I think that we're going to see this rollover. It's going to happen. I mean, this rising broadening wedge is never a bullish technical sign. And when you have a bearish divergence on the RSI that's been going on for 3 years, and you have the government's ability to modify the supplemental leverage ratio, which is like the infinite money glitch, and you have them, I believe, working trade deals to ensure that countries that we're working with are buying our treasuries. And you know that when you look at it, everybody said that all these guys were going to run away from our treasuries, and that hasn't happened. It's actually been the exact opposite. And you look at the MOVE index. This is the bond volatility index. So if you guys know what the VIX is, that's the stock volatility index. And I haven't looked at this in ages, but this is funny. Let me take that off. So we had our line here talking about how we're going to keep falling, and that's what we've been doing. Now, eventually, bond volatility can break out and go a lot higher, but there's some things I wanted to show you here real quick while I'm here. So the 2008 great financial crisis, bonds went through the roof, right? Then we had this little thing called a pandemic. Bond volatility went through the roof, right? And then we had this little thing over here that happened on March 23rd or whatever. I think this is Silicon Valley Bank disaster. But what happened afterwards? We had bond volatility drift down while markets screamed higher. So again, I think there's a lot of economists and smart people. Don't listen to me. I'm just a high school dropout who got rich on his own. But and became a macroeconomist. And that's self-proclaimed, by the way. I actually have. I've had a year and a half of high school, and I've got an associate's in network administration and security. So I'm in no way qualified from like a graduate scholarly level. I just taught myself a bunch of shit. So just so you know who you're listening to, but yeah. So I think these economists have been wrong. I think a lot of people that think that the long end of the curve is going to go up are going to be wrong, because I think they're underestimating the intelligence of this administration. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Donald Trump is necessarily the smartest person in the world, especially like by traditional IQ standards. But I do think he has, I don't want to say emotional intelligence, because his emotions are fraught too, but he does have the ability to be able to negotiate and to see truth and cut through bullshit better than just about anybody I know. Scott Bessent, highest ranking gay man in the history of government for our Treasury Secretary, is also one of the most brilliant. He's been linked to, Stanley Druckenmiller and George Soros. Love Stanley. Not a big fan of George Soros. Kind of think he's the Antichrist and a Nazi. He's literally a Hitler. He persecuted Jews in Germany. I mean, he's a bad dude. He's a real bad dude. But again, I think Bessent learned a lot from these people, the good and the bad. And I think he's brilliant. And I think he's a good person. I think Stephen Moran is brilliant. I think so many people in this administration are brilliant, including Elon Musk helping for a while too. So I think people politically are underestimating that, because they hate Republicans or they hate Trump and have TDS. And that's going to really hurt their investments. It's really going to hurt their investments. When you have bias that prevents you from being able to see the truth, you fail. All right, real quickly, speaking of Scott Bessent, let's just listen here real quick. This is Bessent talking about the Fed chair.
It's about economics, what's best for the American people, what's best for the economy. And as I talk to the candidates, I'm looking at three things: monetary policy, regulatory policy, and the ability to run and revamp the organization, because it's really gotten bloated. And I think that this bloat puts its monetary independence at risk. Right. It's about economics.
I don't like Sol Strategies. That's why I dumped it a long time ago. I think that if you're going to invest in stuff, I would do like DFDV or UPXI. I think Sol Strategies, if I remember correctly, they did some kind of weird divergence away from just Solana and doing a mixed bag. I think that's a horrible way. People want pure plays, especially like investment groups. They want to know that they're just investing in Solana. And so, again, you could check with James to be sure. I'm not as smart about the Solana community. He is the OG and man that made people a shit ton of money. James Invest Answers is one of the biggest advocates, or was, on MicroStrategy and helped people make a shit ton of money at a time where I wasn't paying as much attention to it, even though I had the best option contracts. Should have been watching James a lot more. I would have made a lot more money. and also with Solana, he's a huge advocate. So if you want to know about those things, especially I'd say Solana, he's your guy. Real quickly, U.S. economy. The USA wins hands down. So this is Michael. He's from Germany. He hates Europe. I can't blame him. He said millionaire growth during the last decade. Montenegro is small. Anyway, whatever. We don't care about Montenegro. So you can see millionaire growth, but what I care about are the numbers, right? This is 2024. So you know how everybody talks about China, or the UAE, right? Or some of these other places. But where were the biggest number of millionaires? It's the USA, man. Centimillionaires, not as big of a number, but billionaires. Woo! Billionaires. It's the USA. We win hands down, guys. We are the biggest. We are the baddest. It is this country. If you don't recognize that, you're going to be hurting. James E. Thorne, my favorite Canadian economist. Well, what are his credentials again? Chief market strategist at Wellington Altus, PhD in economic astute observations and conclusions, personal views, non-investment, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he's pretty brilliant. He said the BLS CPI data is flawed. He said, he goes, shelter component has latency, massive latency. Replace Case-Shiller 20 city market-based data. CPI then becomes negative 0.4% year over year. Yes, deflation. Reposting. So he's saying it's bullshit anyway. And so we've talked recently about how the BLS, it sounds like we're going to not be publishing data until we get our house in order. I actually think that's a good thing. People that have TDS syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome, will tell you that that's not a good thing and that it's us turning into a banana republic. They're wrong. James E. Thorne, for the record, Toronto's unemployment rate is 9.9%. Why am I talking about Toronto and Canada? Because there's something to understand here. And youth jobless hits 15.8%, the highest outside of COVID since the early 1990s recession, while the Bank of Canada's rate sits at 2.75%. The reluctance to cut rates amid high unemployment signals another policy mistake, amplifying recessionary pressures. So again, similar mistakes as to what's happening in our area of the woods. But what I wanted to show you here is when you subtract the shelter component, because they have a lot of issues with allowing foreigners to buy their real estate, you'll see that their inflation is almost gone too. It's lower than you want. So this is a theme not just in the United States, it's all over the place, guys. Somebody said my TSWCF bags, that's the Smarter Web company, are heavy, and I wonder if the top is already in. No, it's not. I just did a post on them today. You should look at it. Real quickly, I will show you this. I know people, if they don't get instant gratification, they get pissed. And don't get me wrong, this thing went down 66% from the high. So if you're one of the people, and this is actually a little bit wrong. Is this the daily? I need to adjust this slightly. I need to lock these charts. Let me lock you real quick. Okay. So again, we already hit our bottom. We're in a bottoming pattern. I'm sure if I look over here, yeah, you can kind of see the RSI trending up over here. While again, this kind of looks like it's going down. So you're already getting a mild divergence. This did drop 73% from the high, so I get the fucking pain. This is my biggest bag of a treasury company for Bitcoin. So I also feel your pain there. I don't know what I have in it right now, maybe $600,000-$700,000. So I get it, but I still think that we're going to do just fine in this. I still think that the measured moves are at least 220 to 357% on this. So again, we're talking about, and that's the golden retracement zone. We're talking about, I believe, worst case, a 200% upside move on this with the ability to overshoot even higher because these treasury companies are just sick. And we'll be looking at SWC here in a little bit. Remind me later, and we'll go through that, and we'll look at just their growth rate. The growth rate is huge, guys. It's a huge component. If you can keep growing your treasury massively and have good terms, then you're going to get really good returns for your customers that are investing in your stock. And so those are the bare minimums, I think, for SWC right now this cycle. And again, you're still beating miners, right? If you're getting 215 to 357% on the conservative end for SWC, you're still beating miners. So I have not sold a dime of SWC, even though I'm pretty much out of Metaplanet, because Metaplanet I just don't think has much of a return. But I do have a good write-up on that I want to talk about too. They had their earnings again, and I think they can do all right. Again, 162 to 242, so maybe 100% less than what I'm thinking right now for the conservative target for SWC. So I think it's all good, guys. Somebody said they dumped their soul strategies. I think that's smart. Uncle Jesse, our inflation being low is a lie. Trust me, in Toronto now, bedroom. Yeah, but that's shelter. That's shelter. That's the exact point that he was making. Shelter sucks. I get that shelter sucks. You guys have a lot of problems. We have some of those, but minus shelter, it's not. It's not. All right. Good morning. If it wasn't for Palantir and Jesse's calls, I'd be up tap dancing for crackers. Okay. EMC Jesse, did you move 100% Metaplanet to BMNR? I can't say I did that to BMNR. I've been moving Metaplanet for a long time, guys, and I post all my trades. And you can see the historical of them on the Discord. But I was moving it for a long time. I sold the last. Sorry, this doesn't. You gotta refresh it to get it to come up right. I sold it the last time. It closed out basically. I mean, all but the dust, right? Like some shares are still around probably. But I sold that for BMNR. But I was selling it for SWC. I was selling it for my Solana treasuries, which I have now. I was selling my iron calls. I sold out of all of those so that I could get into treasuries, Bitcoin treasuries at the time. And then I sold out of almost 20% of my Mara calls so that I could get into Bitcoin treasuries. So I've been diversifying the money around, and I'll get my portfolio updated this week for fucking sure so that you guys can see where I'm sitting right now. Morning, is it a bad idea to have Metaplanet right now? I think it's a good idea. I just think it might lag. It might still just sit here for a week or two. And so just keep that in mind. Tom Lee, guys, I want to give him credit. He said that things were going to break away, and they did. New BLS commissioner suggests pausing monthly jobs report until new data calculation. I think that's good. I put smart, thumbs up, even though, again, Amit is probably making fun of it here for Banana Republic stuff. Also, nobody's paying attention to this, but global liquidity, guys, since Trump came into the office at the beginning of the year, has been straight up. Again, we're issuing shorter dated treasuries so that the banks can basically monetize and keep lending. That's a good thing. Took loss on Coincilium. See, I'm keeping Coincilium and I'm keeping SQNS. I don't see the point in taking a loss when here. Let me just show you. I don't see the point in taking a loss when something is down. Let's see. SQNS is down 78%, and some of my calls are down like 90%. So why take the loss when you really don't have much left to lose? So I'm very much staying in that. And then again, Coincilium, I don't even know where I have that right now. I think I moved it somewhere. Here it is up here. It was up a whole 0.15% yesterday. Again, I have 1.2 million shares in this. And what is it down? It's down so much. Like, who even cares? It is down, let's see here, 94%. So the only reason I'm keeping these is that I find in bull markets that even the shit rises to the top. And I'm not saying Sequoians is shit. I actually think Sequoians is going to be good, and I think we'll get an update from Ben that'll probably clarify a lot of stuff and make it better. Maybe. I think Ben's pretty awesome, and so I think that's what's going to happen. So I haven't sold any of it because, again, who cares at this point? It's like, to me, it's like dust anyway. And if it comes up 1,000% and then turns into an actual profit, great. But I don't want to sell something that's basically dust just so I don't have to look at the red anymore. I don't really operate that way. ArcG has sucked too. I think that the majority of people, the calls on this one have just been blown out. Even the June of 2026, which is insane to me. I've got 40 strikes, which all it has to do is go up to here, guys. So between now and June of 2026. So again, you got at least a year, and all it's got to do is just go up to here. And nobody seems to think that's going to happen. But if it does happen and it surpasses it, then it's going to be really great. I think a lot of people are worried that the regulatory changes that Trump is doing within the medical field are going to hurt investment dollars and the ability for ArcG to do well. I don't think that's true. And again, my farthest out calls right now are December of 2026. I might even be pushing some of those out to June, July of 2027 if I need to. I have not done well on this call. But if you look at a cycle pattern, this is the way it works, man. Look at this. This was resistance. It's support. It's support again. You had the overshoot, and now you're consolidating under the peak volume for the entirety of this fund's existence. And my bet is only that it has to go up like 60 fucking percent in a year. If the markets end up doing really well and we do have a lot of positivity and we don't just have a failing economy by the end of the year and things have been rocking sock'em robots, I think this is going to do really well. But I've said this for a while. I'm not applying more money to this yet. I'll do that if all the other stuff makes me a shit ton of money and I get over 10 million. Then I'll start looking at it. Poo Poo Station, get ready for alt season. Started your own coin, Poo Poo Chain. I need my own airport for all the jets I have. Nice, bro. Only 13% as of yesterday. Purdy. What is that about, guys? Where are we all doing year to date on returns? Oh, I'm not doing great at all. I'm off my low. I'm actually lower than what I have. Here. I don't want to get too off track, but what the hell? I'm lower than this number over here. I want to say right now I'm closer to 4+ million. I haven't actually run the math. So I got butchered mostly by the minor calls. Some of that ARKG calls too. And then again, some of these treasury companies also I took a hit on, even though I got in early on them. SWC, I'm still up. Metaplanet, I sold when I was up, but things like Coincilium have just been horrific. SQNS, I got into the calls too early, didn't understand the pipe well. So I'm probably like right about here right now, which is still much better than my low in 2024 of 1.9 million. Still double that. But I do think that I'm still going to hit my 12 million target before the end of the year. I think the good stuff is getting ready to happen right now. But I don't want to get too distracted, so maybe I'll stay away from chat for a second. SBET MNAV now sitting around 1. Yeah, probably. I did a post earlier. We're going to get into Ethereum right after this, guys. I want to talk about it. But first, Supercore CPI. So big jump driven, Zero Hedge says, by medical services and particularly dental services, which increased 2.6% month over month in July. Used cars rose 0.5% in July. So here's the deal. These inflation numbers just aren't real. There's nothing really happening in the United States. It says rate cut odds soar as U.S. consumer prices once again reject Trump tariff terror. Again, guys, where are the tariffs? Where is the runaway inflation? We're in fucking August now, looking at July data, and we still see nothing. Jesse being 430% up on ETH calls expiring December 2025 already, 25% TM with a 2.5 multiplier. When would you trim? It depends. What's your strike? What's your strike on them? I don't know. What's your strike? Anyway, CPI, again, our optimism index, guys, better than expected. Core inflation, again, all this stuff came in line. We talked about this earlier. I said that I thought inflation was kind of dead. I did a post yesterday for subs. I said, is there any energy inflation in the sector now? No. Look at the year to date. This is basically Trump, right? So UK gas is down, TTF gas down, Germany natural gas down, natural gas, methanol, propane, crude oil, Brent, coal, naphtha, everything negative on the year. So how are you going to have a 70s style and stagflation? Remember stagflation? That was a really popular narrative. Bullshit. I said livestock is a different story. Poultry, beef, salmon, and eggs have all come down pretty big, but cattle and hogs are higher. But then I tell you why, right? So look at eggs. Eggs inflation, down 60%. Remember how all the liberals were talking about how eggs were going through the roof and how Trump was fucking it all up? Well, eggs, salmon, poultry, and beef are all down on the year. The only things that were up were lean hogs and cattle. And let's look at some of that real quick. So lean hogs, one could argue that it's not really much above the standard of what it's been going all the way back to 2012. So we've got over a decade where we're just really not that high and probably close to the average. And then when you look at cattle, I don't even give a shit about cattle. I said in here because I said has been screaming higher since the pandemic, but this is not related to anything that real Donald Trump has done, and is instead simply supply versus demand, since the cattle herd in the United States is at its lowest level since 1951. So I don't think we can blame that on Trump either. So again, it's one of those things where I don't know. There is no inflation. There's just no inflation, and it's important to realize that. All right, I think that's it for the U.S. economy stuff. We'll probably jump in to Ethereum related topics. I'm not going to go through all of this, but I wanted to show it. I reposted this again this morning. This is Miles. He's big in the Ethereum community, talking about his thought on Ethereum price and where he thinks it's going to go. It's thoughtful. I'm going to go through the whole thing, but like tons of analysis in here on what he believes is driving price and where he believes it's going to be, and based on historical and based on all this math. So I need to go through all of that and make sure that I understand it. And add that to my thesis because I do believe it's thoughtful and interesting. Also, I said Ethereum treasuries have gobbled up 2% of the entire Ethereum supply in a little over a month. This is phenomenal. I hope you understand this. So we were over here close to the 1% mark a month ago. Down here, we were actually probably under 1%. And now we're at 3% of the supply, and it's escalating. And that's before the $20 billion alone coming in from BMNR, not to mention SBET, not to mention our new flyers on top of the Ether machine. It's crazy. And guys, the only reason I think that BMNR and SBET didn't do better yesterday is we got a new player. And we'll talk about that in a second. David said, do you see any potential time of rotation out of BMNR to SWC to capture? I hope so. And we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so this is just parabolic, guys. This is crazy. And if we look over here at the combined levels here of ETFs and treasuries, you can see how, again, we're just going through the roof. We're at 8.3% of the supply, guys. To put that in perspective, a month ago, we were sitting at about half that for the amount that ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, and treasury companies were holding. So in a month, we've went from 4% of the supply to 8%. That's phenomenal, and I hope you understand that. PPI is tomorrow. That'll be fun. We'll talk about that briefly too. All right, let's keep going. Altcoin season. Merlin the Trader, make sure you follow him if you don't. He's brilliant. He said the index just printed, the altcoin season index just printed a bull flag, and it's primed for breakout. If this fires, expect a full rotation out of Bitcoin and altcoins. I think that's already happened. And by full rotation, I don't think it means that Bitcoin's price is going down. It just means Bitcoin dominance is going down. And that's okay. We don't hate that. Bitcoin dominance going down is a super healthy thing, guys. I want to look at that real quickly here while I have it up. So, well, no, that's the ETH BTC ratio. And again, we're continuing to scream higher. I actually want this alert to be up here, though, because that's where we start to hit the breakout zone, is right up here. Let me see if I have the BTC dominance. Yes, I do. Okay, it's over here. So again, BTC dominance is dropping. This happens every cycle. You can see where it happened in 2020, heading into late 2021, where it eventually just collapsed. We want to see this. You can see where it happened over in 2017. It's happening. It happened in 2020, and now it's happening here. This is good. Dominance dropping does not mean Bitcoin's price is going down. It just means that it's altcoin season. And we believe, we being me and hopefully a lot of you here, and along with a lot of other smart people, that altcoin season is going to be a lot of Ethereum and a lot of Solana probably. And we're going to talk about that in a second too. So again, this is one of the many indicators that we're looking at to determine when things are stopping. Am I buying today? I've already bought. I buy when things are dropping, and then I ride them up and I sell them slowly as they go up. I said in this post, I mean, Ethereum kind of is capped. So somebody was talking about how the supply, I think it was Canton Cat was talking about, Cantonese Cat was talking about how Ethereum has an unlimited supply. I don't really think that's true anymore. I think that's an old narrative. There's something called the burn and the merge. These are updates that happened with Ethereum quite some time ago, years ago, in the last cycle. And so you can see the if you look over here, this is going back 4 years and 6 days. You can see that the inflation rate has averaged 0.8%. This up here, this white line, shows what would have happened if they still were on proof of work and you could still mine using video cards. Yes, ATNF. What even is ATNF? It's the latest Ethereum treasury company to come on board, and I'm not jumping into it. I like the teams at SBET and BMNR, especially like Tom Lee, Kathy Wood. We're going to talk about some of that in a second too. But so what I said here is that I said Ethereum is essentially capped because of the burn and the merge. The code is kind of keeping the inflation rate very similar to that of Bitcoin. So the problem lies with the fact that it's not decentralized or as decentralized. And again, I'm not going to go into all the technicals. People argue back and forth all the fucking time about this. I'm just going to tell you that Bitcoin is better from a decentralized standpoint, from not having a founder that's alive, a whole bunch of reasons why it's better. And so I said it had, and so yeah, so I said that's why we have Ethereum Classic, because they had a hack a long time ago and they rolled back the whole fucking chain, and there were a bunch of Ethereum maximalists that didn't like that, and so they kept Ethereum Classic going. So we had a fork in Ethereum because they didn't want the whole chain to be. They were scared by the fact that one person, Vitalik Buterin, could say, "Hey, you know what? We're just gonna go back and then fix it." And so already pretty scary stuff. All right, DJ Johnson. I like DJ Johnson. He's a CPA. He said, this is why it looks like ETH is just moving up in a straight line. They have to, okay, so actually before we get into that, I want to go up to here. So he said, so BMNR and Aspect combined for 9.8 billion volume today. Please tell me they went for 10% of the volume with ATMs for a single day and raised $1 billion. He's talking about stock issuance. So basically, when there's high volume days, that's when these guys are feeding into it and using their cash that they're deploying, or their share dilution in order to purchase more Ethereum. Same goes with Bitcoin companies. So the higher the volume, the more you can purchase. So you love the volume, right? Whether it's up or down, you love it. And if it's down, you're getting to buy the dip. So what he's saying is with this, we had this strength from Ethereum. So he's hoping that they applied at least $1 billion worth of purchases in Ethereum at the time. And he said, this is why it looks like ETH is just moving up in a straight line. They have to use it because they're likely to do it all again tomorrow. Any dips get ate up because they have to, just so much cash to deploy. I want to add into this too, guys, that this neuters the price action in the meantime too. So people were probably wondering, like, Ethereum went up so much yesterday, and yet at the same time, BMNR and Aspect didn't go up that much. It's because they're diluting shareholders at that time. And so they're getting smaller returns over the short term, but they're also creating accretion immediately by picking up a bunch of Ethereum, which is then going up in price. And then you're getting an immediate return on your investment when they're diluting you right away, whereas a normal company can take forever to do that. So again, I'm loving the targets here on BMNR. I've got fib retracement, or I'm sorry, a fib extension, golden retracement zone, doc 618 of 414, and then an overshoot that gets us, I think, if I'm reading that correctly, because my eyes don't work so much, 885% upside on BMNR. So again, we love this kind of stuff. This is what happens. This is not a bad thing. To see them going a little bit slower than what Ethereum is doing. All it means is that they're diluting into it. And so the people, like yesterday, I went ahead and bought like $250,000 worth of BMNR. I originally was going to wait, and then I realized, no, there's no waiting on this. Once I read the ATM and the pipe offering, the pipe, guys, the pipe is where they do a special deal with some really big guys, and the pipe gets released. We find out more about that. It was done on the 9th, the deal, and then 20 days later, so about the end of this month, about the time that seasonality kicks in and the markets don't do as well, especially for altcoins, but also for Bitcoin. Heading into September, they start to usually have a seasonal drop. Remember this. It's important. So we probably want to, if we get wicked gains in the next couple of weeks, you might want to lock in a decent amount of profits. That's what I'm going to be doing. But seasonality-wise, we'll see this stuff. We'll see these start to scream after they slow down on some of their aggressive dilution. And so again, they're getting a little neutered right now, but Aspect's still up 2.45%, and BMNR is up about 5.5%. BMNR is going to be the faster horse over the meantime, guys, because the volume is greater, and they're the ones diluting the most. So, but I love this one too. 346% upside to 780. So you can't shake a stick at that either. So I think Aspect maybe has a little lower of a return, but I do believe that it can do quite well because they're still diluting at a decent pace and still trying quite a bit. Anyway, that was those. I wanted to make sure I showed them. Let's see here. Thanks, thoughts, Jesse. BLS wants to be the BlackRock of crypto. There's so many fucking investments, guys. I can't focus on all of them. There's just so many. There's so many. So I don't know. You guys do you. It seems like right now, if you buy anything, it's going up. I smell rug pulled on ETH treasuries and rotation to BTC. You're wrong. You're wrong. No, that's not what's going to happen. They're going to lead. I don't know why people have to be one or the other. I don't get that. They're all going up, guys. They're all going up. Solana's going up. You could be a Solana Maximus. I don't give a shit. It's up 5+% today. It's doing great. You could be an Ethereum Maxi. It's up 2.5% today. It's doing great. You could be a Bitcoin Maxi. It's up 0.37% today. These just have different multipliers based on their size. We don't need to be like, oh, these guys are going to win and these are going to lose. It's fucking stupid. It's all rotation and it's all up. You just have to remember where the real core value is on each of them. Bitcoin is at the top of the list. That's why it's the biggest fucking container. Ethereum comes in next. Solana comes in next. I don't know. Comparing dick sizes isn't really something I care about. Shardy B said, if you're one of the other ETH treasuries, you're in a race with BMNR now to raise as fast as you can so you can try and beat them to market. At this point, before they corner it, and they are cornering it. Real quickly, I want to listen to this. So this is Kathy Wood talking about Ethereum treasuries. It's only 4 minutes long. She says on CoinDesk, Kathy Wood laid out why Ethereum is becoming an institutional protocol. She said Coinbase is doing a layer 2 for Ethereum. Robinhood is layer 2 for Ethereum. You have stablecoin, and again, they're using Arbitrum for it. I don't remember what Coinbase uses, if it's Arbitrum too, but they're tokenizing on it, right? Stablecoin boom is mostly happening on Ethereum. ETH, that's kind of true and kind of not. There's Tron too, but in the United States, that's true. ETH treasuries offer utility and staking unlike Bitcoin treasuries. This is true, so you get a yield return that you won't get from Bitcoin right now. We had a thesis Ethereum would be the institutional protocol. Now it's playing out in real time. Yep. Ethereum might be a higher cost and a little slower, but it's decentralized and more secure. So again, the Solana boys will tell you, and again, I think that's where the retail stuff is going to be. They'll tell you, oh, ours is faster. We have way more transactions on it. All that stuff is true. More developers. Cool. It's like the meme shitcoin version of things, which is funny because Ethereum was that, and now it's the Wall Street one, whatever. But so it might be a higher cost and a little slower, but it's decentralized and more secure. Okay. I would actually just argue that it has better uptime than Solana. Solana used to just go down all the fucking time, especially like the 2020-ish range. It would just crash constantly. Maybe it was before that too. I can't remember. But again, so this has better uptime. I don't know about more secure or whatever. First time ARK ETFs have been able to take a solid position in ETH. And so she's very positive about it. ARK invested in Tom Lee's BMNR, the largest ETH treasury. She's very positive about it. I actually probably won't play the video because those are the highlights. Now, Benjamin Cohen, guys, is brilliant. He's one of the people doing the best. Here, I'm going to adjust real quickly. I got to take care of my boys. Give me a second. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. See my fat belly. I haven't been working out at all. Can't even walk half the time. So yeah, Ben Cohen, he said the ETH BTC had bottomed. He called that perfectly. He said alt ETH will bleed. So he's saying, and you'll see that in a second. Basically, alts are bleeding to Ethereum, except for Solana and a few others. He said alt BTC is going up, but lagging ETH BTC. That's true. And then he said alt BTC tops in late August because, again, it's seasonality, and we'll look at that in a second. And then Bitcoin dominance rally into September to October, and then alt BTC pairs go to 0.25. So basically what he's saying here is that alts like Ethereum and Solana should do really good until the end of the year. Then he thinks Bitcoin dominance will go up. That doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin's going up because historically it can go down in the month of September too. And alts get pretty butchered in the month of September historically, at least the last two cycles. And then you'll see the alts coming back into October and doing really well along with Bitcoin, and then out surpassing Bitcoin historically. And then ETH BTC, ETH goes higher, gets a higher low, and then the cycle kind of comes to an end. And so, one of the things he was talking about, he said alts are down now 50% against ETH since April. So everybody that's all excited about their favorite shitcoin, especially way down or way up the risk curve where these things are super tiny, are getting fucked right now because since April, ETH, like look at this. So alts are down. This is the total altcoin supply divided by the ETH. And they're just, so all these little tiny shit coins are just getting utterly destroyed. Or I should say this, not doing anything and or getting destroyed, while ETH is at 4,707 right now. So again, this is the ETH season, not the alt season, unless you're thinking about Solana. And how do we know that? Well, we can validate it over here too, and we've been talking about that for a while. But if we just look over here, guys, look at some of the biggest dogs. It's Bitcoin. Solana's doing good. Ethereum's doing even better. XRP is already starting to go out. Doge might do all right. Tron is sucking. Some of these, there's like Sui. There's a few top tier ones that are doing all right. But if we adjust, and let me just try this real quick here. Let's see. Can I go? How do I get to the others? I don't remember. I haven't used this. Oh, here we go. Let's go down the risk curve here. So let's go to the 200, 101 to 201. You're starting to see some red here. Not really outperforming the top 100. Let's go to this. Again, not really outperforming. So you're getting greater risk, lesser volume, and these things aren't really doing much better. Back in the days, guys, you'd see a couple of these that would be like just through the fucking moon every day. You'd have one of these coins that was like up 1,000, 2,000, 10,000%. You're just not seeing that anymore. So again, I think we're growing up a little bit. The big dogs are the ones that people are focusing on. It's not all the little tiny shit. It's not which dog is the biggest dog this week. It's just not that. Jesse, don't you think this is exactly what happened? BTC treasuries got butchered because retail jumped into ETH? Yeah, a little bit. I think, first off, there were too many Bitcoin treasuries. And then we were seeing a little bit of a turn down in markets, too, in regard to the crypto side of things. And then at the same time, so we saw those multiple TNAVs going down. Again, these things happen in cycles. And then Ethereum started to heat up, too. And now Solana's starting to heat up. So Bitcoin treasuries are consolidating and these others are taking off. That's really what's happening. All right, real quick here. So again, I said this yesterday, right in the morning. 4,363 was the call, and now we're at 4,700. So we're up like 8-9% since then. But I said, are you ready for 6,000? And that's true. That's happening, guys. And it's actually, if this is right, it's closer to 6,400. Let me make sure that line looks right. Yeah, 6,000's on its way, guys. So remember that. And Shardy said, I'm being serious here. You know more than the rest of the world because you are here on here now. You have the ability to front run a $20 billion ETH purchase, even if not full 20 billion. 5 billion moved us up to 2,600. So what she's saying is that this is huge. And by my math, I think it's about 7,500 with the 20 billion that BMNR is talking about doing. And now you have all these new players. And again, here's the guy. Here's the guy, Benjamin Cohen, that does Into the Cryptoverse. And he's the guy who called the bottom. He said ETH has to go home first. When it goes home into the green range, then it can take off. And that's exactly what it's been doing. He's been right. We've got Forbes, this Forbes article talking about Ethereum with a price of 10,000. Sounds good. We got Jake. It brings me no joy to be an ETH ETF bear. I've been working for Ethereum. I've been calling about them like I see. I dislike this crypto. I don't remember what that one is. We'll skip it. I did want to talk about this real quick here. And then I'll probably get you guys live to a video for a second so I can go to the bathroom and just stretch for a second. Because, again, I'm on my knees for part of this and then sitting in a chair for the rest, trying to rest my balls. So you'll have to deal with it. What are the best Solana treasuries at the moment? I think they're DFDV and UPXI. They're up a decent amount today. DFDV is up 22.6%. UPXI is up 16.22%. I think they're going to continue to do good. But I wanted to say here, so in this image, guys, you can see the ETH supply, right? And dollar amounts. If you add up all of these treasuries, all 27 that are on this list, the amount that Tom Lee is talking about buying is more than all of them. So I want you guys just to see this to understand how much Ethereum is going to be going up. I think that's it. Get a high. I got one, but it's broken. I've got huge monitors, guys. My setup is insane. So it's broke. All right. So real quickly here, we're going to do a second half. We have a lot more to talk about. We've got AI stuff to talk about. We've got Bitcoin stuff to talk about. We got a lot more. We're not anywhere close to done, and we've got charts to look at. But real quickly here, let me just get over here. I'm going to see if I have a good video to watch while I hit the restroom super quick. We're at 7:30. There is no economic data today. Let me just cover a couple things. So today there is no economic data really. There's just like inventory changes for like oil and gas and all that kind of stuff. There is some interesting data, or I guess the 30-year mortgage data came out. So let's look at that. So 30-year mortgage rate 6.67, continuing to drop. We like to see that. Seeing that rollover is good. We want to see these levels getting down to the lower 6 and the 5s. I think that's going to happen. This was not the narrative yesterday, guys, that we'd see mortgage rates coming down. And the 10-year starting to roll over. That was not the narrative. Mortgage applications have increased, really high level, highest levels that we've seen since June 6th of 2025. So again, we're getting a little less red down here from month over month. I hate these percentages up and down, though. They don't do a great job showing you the full picture, but it looks good. Mortgage market index, again, hitting a good number. Second highest number since April 4th. So this guys, once rates start to come down, this is all going to explode. The refi index, it looks like the second highest number since October of 2024. So that's good too. So we see people desperate to refi, even if they're saving like a point. And we'll be seeing more of that in the future. I think the mortgage market's going to explode as rates come down. I really do. Also, I wanted to talk here real quickly about China. So China, M2 money supply is still high. So again, you can just see the increase here is we're continuing to ramp up and go up. That's good. Outstanding loan growth is interesting though. So if you look at outstanding loan growth, guys, over the last, going all the way back to 1998, we are just continuing to fall off a cliff. So the value of loans in China expanded 6.9%, the slowest pace since 1998. It's actually, that's only since they started doing it. It's the slowest pace ever in their history, as being like anything close to a democratic economy. So this is bad for China, guys. This is really, really bad for China. China is not in good standing right now. Let's see what total social financing is. A broad measure of credit and liquidity. So it is rolling over, I think. Yeah, it started to roll over again. But again, you can see these big spikes. The beginning of the year is when they really do their shit, or I should say the end of the year, heading into the beginning of the year. In January, that's when they really, really push out their programs to try and provide liquidity to market and keep it from collapsing. But so, yeah, tomorrow, so we get some Argentina data. I'm interested in that for inflation tonight. And then tomorrow, I've got to update this to just be the U.S., but that's where we get PPI data. So that's the big stuff tomorrow. Real quickly here. Fear and greed index, where are we sitting? We are at 64, so we're in the greed, but not extreme greed. I do think we're going to get near extreme greed this month. And that's probably a good time to, again, to lock in some profits. Looking at the crypto side on CoinMarketCap, we're barely in greed. So again, I think we can get to extreme greed. Trueflation is still showing a sub 2%. I'm not signed into this. I've had issues with my login. I got to fix it. I don't even know if this is a current one or if it got cut off, but it's still low. All right. And the CME, let's just check again and see what it looks like for us getting. Jesse, are you done allocating to BMNR? I probably am. Yeah, I'm riding it up right now. It's up 6% in pre-market. SBET's up 4%. Loving that. So it looks like, it looks like we're almost 100% for a rate cut. Is that right? Are we at the 400? Yeah, we are. We're at 100% rate cut, guys. 99.9%. It does not get better than that. Jesse, can we look at MetaPlanet revenue that came out? Yeah, I'll try to get to that too. There's a lot to look at. They did a good job. Here, just real quickly. Nope, not it. So again, I updated, guys. I posted this. Not a lot of people looked at it. Well, I guess I posted this in a group too, but then I don't know why I posted it to Solana. I fucked up, I guess. Whoops, my bad. But yeah, if you look over here, MetaPlanet, again, this is the full breakdown from Dylan LeClaire. So you can go into here, look at their whole slide deck. And then also you can look at Bitcoin income generation revenues. So Q2 was actually 7.57. So again, they're seeing growth in US dollars in regard to revenues for that too. Let me real quickly though, guys, I'm going to do my bathroom break here. Rate cuts are coming. Yeah, they're coming. And I don't think the 10-year is going to blow out. I think that's the narrative, but I don't think it's true. Let me see. Ooh, this looks good. I like this guy. Well, I mean, I at least like to listen to him. I don't know if he's always right. But I'm going to go back a second because I do think that they're talking about the new BLS guy. I'm going to go back a little bit. This looks good. I don't want to go back too far. I don't want to put you in a commercial. I feel bad doing that. Here we go. All right. Be right back, guys. Give me a second.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent suggesting overnight that the Fed should be open to cutting rates by 50 basis points at its next meeting in September. For more on rates, inflation, the economy, the latest trade developments, let's bring in Joe Lavorgna, counselor to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. When did that happen?
What's that?
So you have an official capacity now. Can you speak freely?
Yes, of course. I always have, Joe.
Kind of, but I don't know if you can speak totally freely. Okay, for example, the 15% export tax on NVIDIA. You're a free market guy, conservative. Doesn't that sort of rub you the wrong way?
President Trump is trying to protect U.S. business and industry. We're in negotiations with China. We'll have to see how things play out, but I don't want to specifically comment on
two specific companies.
One company.
Two specific companies pay 15% of their revenue to the federal government in a specific industry.
This is, Joe, a very complicated issue with trade.
But I understand
Joe,
that.
so you can't. Okay. I mean, let's be fair. You have to. This is a very specific
How about
issue
the
on
other,
trade, and there's a lot of national security concerns at play. So
well, apparently not. If you pay 15%,
there's a lot there to unpack.
Can I just throw one other thing in? Apparently, your boss this morning. I don't know if you just saw this because the headline's just crossing, where Scott Bessent said that the NVIDIA chip export tax could be a model for others, for other industries.
At least it'd be not a single one-off situation then.
So that would be the upside.
That's what I'm saying.
Of it.
Yeah.
The downside version of it was people would say, my God.
Industrial policy.
This is true industrial policy. If we're now saying this is not just a one-off.
I just want to as the Secretary said many times, and this is important, national security is economic security is national security. So I think we need to just step back and take a more holistic, integrated, detailed approach.
If the BLS numbers were rigged, and in fact...
Powell is cutting. He doesn't want to be seen as the worst Fed in history. When you have 100% CME Fed Watch saying that we're going to do a cut, and you already have dissent, not Bessent, but dissent. I mean, you get it from Bessent too, and Trump for sure. But you've got dissent from other Fed officials, and you've got plenty of people vying for his job. And then you have, trust me, you're getting a rate cut. You're getting a rate cut.
It wasn't a weak number.
Yeah, and 50 maybe? I don't know, but 25 for fucking sure. And here's the thing. I actually think 25 is better. I think 25 ensures that you don't blow out the long end of the curve, which is like, again, the 10, 20s, 30s. You don't want those interest rates to go up a lot, but you want the market to see that you're easing. And then you'll want a more aggressive schedule, I think, in the future. But I think if Powell just does 25, that'll be a pretty good concession. And again, it's just we want to show loosening financial conditions. We want to get the SLR ratio modified. We want to do all these things to provide liquidity to the market, and we're already doing that in a number of ways. I showed you guys how global liquidity is continuing to increase, and the U.S. is a big part of that. So we're not messing around. We're doing what we need to do.
Then why would Secretary Bessent be saying we need a 50 basis point cut? They're either rigged or they're not.
No, that's not true. So I think the thing is, the Secretary and the President want a more rigorous quantitative set of standards for the data. And there's no question that when you have a Six Sigma event in the last month of the revisions, there's concerns about data quality. In the private...
What does he mean about a Six Sigma event? So what he's talking about is the deviation from the norm. And so we had revisions that were the worst percentage revision of these since like the 70s, I believe it was, in over 50 fucking years. So what they're saying is the data is garbage. The data is garbage, and that we have to fix it.
Private sector, you talk to many analysts, and they're always sort of circumspect on the payroll data, given the propensity for massive revision.
I think it's terrible data and antiquated, but I'm just saying I don't think that the BLS commissioner rigged the data to make the president look bad.
Well, I understand that, but
do you think it was rigged?
Well, here's the thing, Joe. If you look at the pattern of revision,
it doesn't matter. But yes, it looks like it was, but it doesn't really matter if it was.
You've had consistent downward revisions for the last couple to 3 years, except for a brief period last fall, we had upward revisions. Then you have a multi-sigma deviation in the last couple of months. People start to question the integrity of the data.
Yeah, but
so
the big 800,000 revision was before the election.
No, but it was, and then it got revised up over the following months. No, the data got revised up in October, November.
I don't care so much about this conversation. I just wanted some filler in there so that I could go to the bathroom and move my nuts for a minute. So I think that's good. I do want this though, guys. Real quickly, I want to segue. I want us to listen to Tom Lee and what he's talking about this morning. Let's see, Jesse, since your portfolio is not currently up to date, it will be. I'll even maybe try to do it today. I was buying a house, so I didn't want to update anything with my finances because you just don't do that when you're taking out a huge loan. But then I backed out of it. But then I also had surgery on my nuts and was trying to recover from that. And I'm renovating my existing house and more. And then I had somebody shooting off guns and getting arrested outside of my house. So it's just been a weird period of time. Normally I try and update it weekly, but I think it's been a month. So I'm going to try and get it updated today. I said at the very worst, though, it's going to be this weekend. I'll get it updated, and you guys will be able to see it. What's the rest of the question, though? Would you mind giving us an idea of how much you have? I don't have hardly anything in MetaPlanet. It's dust. The Smarter Web company is my biggest Bitcoin treasury company. SBET and BMNR make up probably the majority of my portfolio right now. I know my fucking life has been really fucked up lately. Is probably the majority of my portfolio. I think I have about 1.2 million. Mostly 65 maybe percent BMNR and something like that, maybe 62% BMNR, 38% SBET. I'll have a better percentage when I'm done, and when I update that. And so really my big plays right now are the Ethereum treasuries. A lot of my position in my calls for Mara and CleanSpark were just wiped the fuck out when they had their big drop. Just wiped out. And then I was doing really good on SMCI, but then that had a big drop too after their earnings. And then ARCG has sucked. So a lot of my pain and suffering over the last month has been calls. And I'm so glad I've been dialing out of those. I wish I would have done more of it. But I'm doing really good on the Ethereum treasury front. I'm still up on SWC personally. I don't know if other people's entries were as good as mine. And I'm doing good on the Solana treasuries. And all that stuff is pumping and rocking. UPXI is up. It's 17.8 right now, and then DFDV is up 20. So Solana treasuries are doing great. But again, BMNR is no slouch, up 7% on the day. People trying to wait for this thing, I think they're making a mistake. And then SBET doing 4%, lagging, just like we talked about, but looking good. All right, real quickly, guys, I want to, what happened with the guy outside of the house? So there was somebody evidently that had shot somebody in another city and then come to my city and then stole a truck from somebody. I live kind of in a downtown area where I live in the Midwest, and then stole a truck from a neighbor down the street. Evidently she tried to jump into it, or wasn't it? I'm buzzy on that part, but she was in the fucking truck when the police chased the person up to the side of my house on the street next to my house. And then the guy bailed. He ran across my yard. He ran up the driveway. He lost his shoe, and then my surveillance system heard a gunshot. Later on, I found out he was arrested, and they caught him with a drone. But I had people outside. I had cops outside of my house until about at least 3:30 in the morning. This started at 2 in the morning last week. Cops with AR-15s and guns, And I told them, I was like, they're like, get back into the house. And I was like, that's fine. If you guys need to run up and down the property, do whatever you need to do. And then I called my neighbors and woke them up at 2:20 in the morning to tell them not to go outside because the cops might shoot them. So, so that was a thing. But yeah, man, it's been, and this is all while I'm like, still icing my nuts and trying to feel better. It's been a weird fucking month, man. I'm not going to lie. Hopefully things slow down and get a little better. But anyway, back to it. Let's listen to Tom Lee here talking about his thoughts on what's happening right now. I know, dude, my life is normally pretty fucking boring, but it has not been in the last month. Here we go. Tom Lee. And this is from this morning, actually. I think late last night. I don't even know if this guy's sleeping. His hair is slicked back, but here we go. Nuts.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community. Today is Tuesday, August 12th, and this is our Macro Minute. As you know, consensus has been cautious about the month of August. And I think one of the principal reasons is investors wanted to see the impact of tariffs on the economy, and that's whether it causes inflation or if it causes a recession. And in fact, it wasn't just strategists talking about that. This is also hedge funds because they're turning cautious on stocks as we're near highs. Now, as you know,
not Tom Lee.
No, that's not our take. Our take is that August would be a month where we'd see the S&P make breakaway highs. And part of that rationale was that Bitcoin itself made a breakaway high on July 9th, and it's leading the S&P by roughly a month. For instance, I mentioned this many times, but Bitcoin peaked January 20th, a month before the S&P did. It made an all-time high on May 22nd, a month before the S&P did. And Bitcoin's breakaway, which happened on July 9th, had us believing the breakaway would happen today, August 12th. And in fact, today was a breakaway move where the S&P gained more than 1%.
They have some great quants. I also think that so many people listen to Tom Lee now that he can move markets. I think he probably knows this, but we won't talk about it. It's something we don't speak of. But again, just amazing.
And part of this has to do with July core CPI. As you know, this was one of the 5 things we're keeping our eye on this month in August. And while the number came in for core CPI a little above expectations, we had said that we just think markets wouldn't really necessarily care because they know there's a component of tariff inflation in there. And in fact, the odds of September.
And I think I called this even better. So Tom had said that he didn't think anybody would care. I actually said that I don't think it's going to be as high. Well, you know what? I probably piggybacked off of his. I don't know if I did have some unique insight, though. I did create, again, I showed you guys the inflation data on energy and agriculture and livestock and just a bunch of other things that told me that inflation-related data would be low. And I think PPI will be good, too. That'll be interesting.
September rate cut jumped to 94%. So the market took this as dovish. Now, on Thursday, we get July core CPI. And Friday, there's quite a lot of data, but the one we're going to focus on is July retail sales, as well as UMich one-year inflation expectations. And that gets us to sector recommendations. As you know, we're no longer talking about Washington.
I want to go back here. I want to get back here real quick because he just kind of highlighted over this. So he said they're going to focus on retail sales. It looks like all this stuff is what they're focusing on. So he said Michigan-related data and retail sales is what their focus on. It's interesting that he did not focus on some of this other related data down here. Oh, no, this is from the first. Okay, so these are already happened. It's interesting, though. Why is he not talking about PPI? Maybe he just thinks it's going to be low.
As well as UMich one-year inflation expectations.
Do I think Metaplanet will reach 30 this cycle? Yes, I think it can. Yeah. I think my estimates are anywhere between 2,800 Japanese yen to 3,900, and we're sitting at 1,000. So I think if you translate that over to US dollars, it's close to it. Maybe it's 25 or something like that. But I've lowered my guide a little bit. And the reason for that is there's so many additional treasuries that have come in. I think they really still have complete and utter control of the Japanese markets. And I think Saylor is very, very supportive of them. But we also have these Ethereum and Solana treasuries coming in. So I've lowered my price target maybe just a little bit. But again, that's on the Discord, and I show this stuff all the time. If you're just paying attention, you'll see these, and you can always bookmark them, guys. That way I don't have to pull it up all the time. If you're on the Discord, though, guys, here's one of the biggest things that's really helpful And I don't know, I'm not on here as much as other people. So you can see my trades, portfolio allocation, stuff like that. You can see Jesse's current holdings. I think this needs to be updated. Still got sold strategies on here. I need to clean this up and put other things on this list that I'm currently holding. So I'll do that. But some of the nice things about this is if you go in, again, there's other channels down below too. But the thing that's nice in here is if you go into the Discord in the top right, there's pinned messages, and you can see different charts from different people that are inside of here. I need to get all of my stuff in here because I don't have it all in. And I'm going to reorganize this a little bit. Tommy's been managing a ton of it, but I need to update a bunch of things in here and get them to what I'm focused on in here, not just the community. Because that latest list does not have everything in it. But I will show you some of this here, though. Like if you click on Mara and you click pinned, you'll see that my chart is down here. And this is bookmarked and saved. And so if you go into here, you can actually see the latest version of my chart. And you'll be able to do that with all these. So again, I'll get the rest of them up here and I'll update it. But you can see all this stuff, essentially. So you can see it all in there. Then you don't have to ask. And then you can just, if you know my methodology, you know the .618. And I'll just show it over here on this MetaPlanet one. The .618 is normally where I call it. So that's where I have a line to right now on MetaPlanet. Could it go higher, though, up to here? Yes, it could. It could overshoot. A lot of the times it will, and that gets us up to around the $34 range. But conservatively, I think 23. And so you can see all these targets, and you can see the latest updates that I have inside of the Discord. And I'll get that cleaned up a little bit where it's got all my things in there correctly. Jesse, do you need assistance? Nah, I'm probably good. The wife helps a little bit too, but I just haven't updated the Discord as far as the categories and putting all my stuff where I want it. But I might. We'll see. Are you in the Discord already, Alonesis? Kevin, what is timing on that for MetaPlanet? This cycle, so like the next 2 to 3 months. All these things that I'm talking about, guys, when they're in regard to Bitcoin and crypto, are the next 2 to 3 months. That's what it is all the time. I'm not somebody who thinks that we'll just keep going up forever. We could, but I'm planning for the next 2 to 3 months, and then I'll reevaluate as we go forward. Real quickly, though, I want to jump around, so I want to go to AI and chips. I wanted to make sure I posted this. U.S. authorities have secretly placed location tracking devices in targeted shipments of advanced chips so that they can see if basically these things are being diverted to China. So there's a whole bunch of video cards going out for these H100s. Or I guess I can't even remember which chip they got. H200s. So there's a bunch. I don't know how many different ones they put them in, but they are tracking this stuff, and they will catch anybody who's basically skirting these export controls. And so that's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Real quickly here, I want to go to the Bitcoin side. Did you lower your SBET target? I don't think I have, but let me just pull it up here real quick. I don't think I have. Depends on what we're talking about. So this is probably too much. We should take that out. But again, my targets are usually right here from the .618. So I'm saying we can go to 100 easily. We can go to the all-time high, I think, pretty easily. And then we can go up to the 200-ish range. Could we go higher than that? Maybe. But I would say it would be pretty greedy to look for more than 780%. Wade, thank you for joining and becoming a member. You can talk and chat now. So again, this is kind of my range each cycle because usually Bitcoin breaks above the .618 and it goes higher. And so if you look over here in the bottom right-hand corner, guys, you'll see the .618 puts us around 129,000. But Bitcoin could go up to 133. It can go up even higher into the 140s. And it usually lands somewhere in between here, between the 140 and this like 161 range. This is usually, if you look at previous cycles going all the way back to the first, this is where we land for Bitcoin. And so I don't think it's too crazy to have the .618 and or a little bit higher, even potential to go higher than that with some of these. I don't think that's crazy. It looks like you're not buying options for BMNR only shares, correct? Yeah, I'm not buying options in anything. I did some of that with Sequoians and went against my rule, and I regret it because they're down a lot. I am deleveraging between now and the end of the year, guys. I'm not looking for 2x funds. I'm not looking for options. I'm deleveraging so that I can reduce my downside risk as I'm making a bunch of money. My goal is simple. I want to get ideally between 10 and 12 million. My target is 12 million for this cycle or for this year. And if I get to a target of 12 million, then I'll have went from a low of 164,000 after retiring. I retired with about 370,000-ish something dollars at the start of a pandemic in like April, May of 2022 or 2020. And then and I used programs that were available to me to try and basically help pay my bills. And then I retired my wife a year later and in-laws and my parents and all that kind of stuff, taking care of other relatives. But my low on my liquid portfolio was 164,000 at one point. And if I go from 164,000 up to 12 million, that's just a little bit better than Nancy Pelosi. I think she's like 600% in 10 years, doubling the S&P. I did this. If I do this, I'm doing it in a little over 5. I feel pretty proud about that, honestly. Look at Mara January 20 strike. I'm sure they're good. I'm not looking at options though. I'm not doing it. And again, you guys know I made videos about this. If people don't know, you can go back and look at my options 101 video, guys. I've made videos about how to look at options. I'm not touching options right now. I'm not even looking at them. I don't want to be enticed. 32-year-old Yossi, have you gotten feedback from others on X that you are not seeing subscription? Yeah, man, I don't know how to fix it. So I don't know how to fix it. There's a bunch of people like Jake, Shardy B. There's a bunch of us that have tried to make people aware of that. What I'm trying to do, and I have not been good at it, is adding highlights to what I'm doing. I'll try and do that to where if you don't see it under subs, you should subs will be the only one that have access to it. But if I highlight it, maybe you can go to highlights over here and then see it. So I'll try and get better. I'll try and update all the ones from today, along with cleaning up the Discord and getting my portfolio all fixed. So I'll do that, and I'll try and get it to where look towards the highlights tab. Look towards the highlights tab. I don't know how else to fix it. We have tagged X and submitted tickets, and they just don't fucking fix it. And if they don't fix Jake and Shardy, those guys are way bigger than me. I don't know how to fix it. And I know Steve Urkel dude, there are a bunch of people that said that they all had the same problem. So I don't know what to do about that. Maybe test. I haven't gotten good feedback from people, but maybe try it on mobile, try it on desktop. Is it different? Tell me. Let me know. Please to God, somebody. Nobody ever follows up with me, so I don't have a lot of good information to pass on either, besides it doesn't work. So if you guys can help with that, that's great. All right, let's keep going. Sell some Tesla for BMNR in the next 3 months, then buy back to Tesla. I mean, I started buying Tesla for my long-term account, so I've got about $350,000 right now in that. But essentially, that's what I'm looking to do, right? So my plan for anybody who's new here is I'm looking to buy ARGT. That's an Argentinian fund. I'm looking to buy that because as rates come down, emerging markets do really well historically. So I want to get. I think Javier Milei is amazing. I think what he's done with this country is great, and I think they're tightly aligned with the United States and Donald Trump. Arguably, Javier Milei helped Trump win because he turned down China. He went to the World Economic Forum and shit in their Wheaties. He was just fucking brutal and truthful. And he heavily supportive of Donald Trump, along with people like Elon Musk and others. But he kind of set that wave, the chainsaw and all that. So I want to be supportive of him and his country. And so I want to put some money in that because I think that you get a dividend and the returns on the Argentinian fund, guys, are beautiful. But I want to do that. I want to put maybe more money into ARCG or something like that in the medical field and genomics. I want to put money into Tesla. I might do some STRC. We'll see. I think timing is going to be a big deal. I don't know about TLT because I don't know if the budgets will be good enough to help the bond rates. But if we do look like we're getting towards a more sustainable budget and we're doing like Bitcoin type bond stuff, there might be a play there just for cash revenue. There's things I want to do to kind of get more conservative. I want to get into Anduril. And just other things that I believe are going to have an up and coming, even when this cycle kind of comes to an end. And I'll probably still, as I deleverage, I'll probably still get like some IBIT and then add to my physical Bitcoin stack so that I'm doing well on all those things too. That way, if this time is different and Bitcoin keeps going up, great. I don't have a multiple to it, so I don't get all that downside getting fucked risk. But if it goes down 30, 40%, I got a small stack and I can just keep buying. So that's kind of the idea. Thank you, Darren, for becoming a member. You can talk in chat now. All right, real quickly, Bitcoin, the 4 stages. So this is important to realize from 2001, 14, 18, 2022, right? So it talks about in here, you got the bear market, you got the pre-bull where you start going up a little bit, then you got the first bull run, and then you got the second, and the second and final. And so AO is 100% right about this. This is how it works, and this is usually the most parabolic portion of it. It's hard to see sometimes in here based upon percentages, but 2017 was pretty clear. 2021 was not as good, but it was also neutered by the Fed raising rates at the most aggressive rate in history. And then I think this one's going to be better. All right. And then again, AO had another one. He shows 450K. Again, that's kind of like that Josh Mandel or whatever, Josh's target. I don't like that target. I think 280 is the max top. But he's looking here at I think it's a version of the MACD. What is it? Bitcoin, US dollar, 1 week. What does it say down here? It's got, LMAC D, CN 10 year. So the 10-year Chinese bond versus M2SL, or times that M2SL. So he's saying that, hey, when this bullish cross happens, there's the bearish cross and the bullish cross. We haven't even come close to seeing a bearish cross. I agree with all that. I think we're very early in the stages. Dan Lustig, thank you for the $2. I don't know what your message was, but thank you. And then Cardone, you got Cardone Capital looking to raise $1 billion pre-IPO to buy more Bitcoin. I mean, that's pretty huge, right? And then you got Luca talking about the balance on exchanges for Bitcoin just reached the lowest point since October of 2020 when Bitcoin was 15,000. This is just a parabolic. This yellow line, guys, is showing how we're running out of Bitcoin on exchanges. And again, it's got a long way to go, and there's different metrics for this. This is Glassnode. CryptoQuant has a slightly different way of reading this and a few others. But the point being is, this is one of the most precipitous falls we've seen in a long time. And again, if we get much lower, guys, we're going to be looking at 2019 levels. That's pretty epic. 305, you can talk in chat. Welcome, friend. Super Bitcoin Bro. We talked about this too, guys. I talked about how the CME gap was going to fill. It came real damn close, enough for me to count it as filled. And then he said no gap fill and the highest ever close in BTC. So he said the trap is set, and he was right. So the trap was set. You could see previous resistance levels turning into new support. Even Shardy B was like, this isn't a good looking candle. We didn't waver from our stance, though. We knew that this was just a fake out. And if you look in the bottom right corner, sorry, I got to move it around, you can see that it was a fake out, and Bitcoin has done a great job bouncing. And we're headed back up to the 121, 122 range here soon. And then once we get above that, guys, it's off to like the 125 range and above. And then it's off closer to what is it here? 120, 128. Yeah, 125, 128, something like that. And then the next one is 133. So we're just gonna keep rocking and rolling. What about BLGVF? Tim Kutzman joined in. I don't know. I can't keep track of all these fucking things. I don't even remember if I own that one. I want to say no. There's just so many to keep track of, guys. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not. Kazakhstan approves Central Asia's first spot Bitcoin ETF. I think that's awesome. We've got Smarter Web Company, again, getting more Bitcoin. This was just on the 12th yesterday. Another 295, bringing them to 2395. We've got Papua New Guinea exploring a strategic Bitcoin reserve. There's a lot of countries doing it. Which Bitcoin treasury does a 20x, excuse me, 20x first? People put the Smarter Web Company with Next coming into Metaplanet. Again, this is why I'm in both of those. And we already posted this before, but I think the ETH BTC pair gets up to the .618 up here before it really starts to break down. So I think once we get up to here, guys, I've got alerts set on it. It'll be time to get out. And again, if you follow me on X, you're going to see my portfolio trades as I make them. I don't do anything like Telegram, but I'll also put those in the Discord. M. Jules, oh, that was you. All right, so anyway, done with Bitcoin. If you guys have more questions, let me know. Moving into IBIT end of cycle and sell calls against it might be a good idea. Not a bad idea. Yeah, not bad at all. Darren said, thanks, man. Following you for X for a couple of weeks now. Loving your posts. Thanks, dude. Alex said, arguably, if we have a bear market, BTC will be the most steady asset. It depends on how much it goes up. If we go up to like 280 or something, no. If we go up to like 150, it'll be better than altcoins, always is. And at the same time, it might be better than a lot of other things that have went up a ton. I'd argue that it's better than Palantir unless we go to war. Palantir's PE ratio is just fucking insane. Some of these really inflated companies will come down. Gravity eventually takes effect. But if we go to war, then it won't. So I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. Their growth rate, though, is sick. So it might warrant it for a bit. But if they slow down at all, Palantir's just fucked. Or at least the people owning the stock are fucked. Let's see. Dario says BMNR, you call the top, then we rotate into MTPLF. Yeah, I always sell along the way, so I'm never going to be probably perfect at calling the top. But you guys have the fib levels, right? So you guys will know. We'll look at 3350 since it's got the oldest data. So I probably won't start selling any of this. Well, I mean, I guess buying, right? So this is a bad example. Let's go to BMNR because we're not going to be selling on this one. I don't own any. It's going to be hard to sell something you don't own. So anyway, I think, let me kill this real quick. This is a fib retracement, and I think we already hit it. So again, here with BMNR, I'll be selling probably here at 210. Maybe sell just a little bit at 130. It depends on how far we get between now and the end of August. I might sell a little bit more before we hit these targets if we don't move quick enough. But if we get to 212, I'll probably be like 10, 20% out. Or if it's the end of August, maybe it'll be a little bit more. If we get all the way up to 300s, like something crazy happens in the next couple of weeks, which I doubt, then I'll probably be all out. And or at least like 90% out, and then look for a drop heading into September. Because again, seasonality is big; it's a real thing. If I didn't show you that, I'll show it to you later. But it's very real, especially during the bull cycle after the halving. Are you going to keep anything through the bear market, Bitcoin and crypto related? Just my Bitcoin holdings, and maybe like STRC, and maybe a little bit of IBIT. Probably maybe a couple. Like let's put it this way: if let's say I'm at 10 million. I would keep maybe 2 million in Bitcoin, like IBIT type stuff. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it depends on what STRC moves at. I think it's like 10% of MSTR. I'd probably let MSTR bleed. And then maybe I'd buy some STRC for income. But yeah, I won't hold much. I don't think you want to hold too much because I think the risk is at least of a 30 to 40% pullback. And why would you absorb that? Why wouldn't you look to buy the dip into it? Peter Thiel and BMNR and ATNF, are you buying any? I'm not buying ATNF, but I'm happy to see he's in it. He's got a bigger stake in BMNR. I think he's 9.7, and I think he's like 7.5 in that one. But I just can't buy everything right now. I already did too much dilution with the Bitcoin treasuries. And I love the team. I love the team with BMNR the most. But then again, with SBET, you have like one of the original founders of Ethereum. You have a BlackRock digital asset, one of the people who helped set up IBIT. So you have some big players in both of these. I think that's good enough for me. And so yeah, I'm probably good with what I have. I don't want to diversify too much. It's too much. You buying more BMNR if it drops? I don't think it's dropping. I did that yesterday. I bought $250,000 or something close to it. So I don't care. I think I'm good on BMNR. It's up almost 8%, guys. I don't know what we're looking for a drop. Yesterday it was up 6. Today it's up 8. Yeah. I did all my buying. I've got like 1.2 million between these two. I feel like that's enough. All right. Let me see here. Let's finish this. So we didn't finish Tom Lee, so let's get back to it because he's going to say something that's important. He's saying no to washed out stocks. So washed out stocks were like some of the SoFis and some of these other things that had just been beat up for years. Now he's saying no to them. But he's saying yes to Mag 7 and Bitcoin and Ethereum. Added Ethereum in here.
And that gets us to sector recommendations. As you know, we're no longer talking about washed out stocks because that's not really the trade we want as we talk about a stronger 2026. But it's really this first bucket, Mag 7, Bitcoin, and now we're adding Ethereum. Now you can see Ethereum has been doing really well for the last 8 weeks and year to date. And you may wonder, what is the deal with Ethereum? Well, here's a price chart of Ethereum year to date. And as you can see, Ethereum really started the first part of the year declining along with equities. But on June 30th, I became chairman of BitMine, which pivoted to becoming an Ethereum
And I
treasury
pumped
company.
this bitch.
And you can see here, that's the day Ethereum began to essentially break out of its consolidation. And again, this was posted by ARK Invest Daily. And then on July 18th, the Genius Act was passed by the White House, which is really trying to bring a level set stablecoin regulation and really bring US into the digital age, but also really push the dollar through stable coins. And that caused another leg up in Ethereum. And then on August 5th, the SEC signed Project Crypto, which is the SEC's desire to see the entire financial system moved onto the blockchain. And again, another leg up on Ethereum. So you can see Ethereum is indeed turning into the biggest macro trade over the next 10, 15 years, which is our take. And of course, it's justified. Searches for Ethereum have also exploded here. This is just looking at Google searches.
Yes,
and that gets us to where prices can go. Well, Ethereum is now within 6% of its all-time highs. It has.
All right, real quickly. So 32 Yossi says, Jesse, is the allocation from MetaPlanet to BMR simply because it's the faster horse? My average cost is $10 for my lot. Wouldn't it be a big loss to sell all of it at $6 to allocate to BMNR? Yeah, so to be clear, guys, when I'm doing a lot of this trading, I'm doing it in IRAs. I do have long-term accounts too. A lot of that money right now is sitting, there is some things sitting in crypto that I've held for over a year, so I'll be able to cash those out near the top. And then also I have some new allocations that are mostly Tesla and then ARGT. I think I've got about 360,000 between the two. So when I'm trading, I'm not worrying about taxes. So you need to factor that in yourself. But taking a loss, I mean, if anything, is probably going to help you with some of your tax obligation. And writing BMNR, it probably would have been better to do it near the bottom. It's up over 100% in a week. So, I mean, again, I still think it has a long way to go. And there's 20 billion and there's going to be dilution and eventually it'll probably get overextended again. But this thing was a way better investment when I was trying to tell people to buy it at 31, but people weren't having it, right? And so now today we're sitting at 67, so we're up like 115% or some shit, whatever that number is. So I don't know, it's up to you, but I am telling you that I think that we can still do, well, it's a little bit less than that now, but I think we can do 400% to 850 or something. That's what I think BMNR could do. So it just depends on what you want to do. Again, I don't have to be perfectly right all the time either. Maybe we end up topping out soon on Ethereum and you've just jumped over into that and then Bitcoin treasuries take off. I don't think that's the case. I think usually when we have these seasons, they run for a bit. And again, we've just barely moved and we saw that consolidation bull flag that Merlin the trader was talking about. And I think that we'll run all the way up to here. And I should probably put more, let me do this. I'm going to put more alerts on here real quick for each stage, but I think we'll run up to about here. And then at the .618 on the ETH BTC pair. And then I think altcoin season is probably done. And I think that happens between now and the end of this month or something close to that, maybe the beginning of September. So I think, but I think you can make a lot of money. Maybe it's a couple 100%. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. It just depends on how hard it runs and how aggressive they are with that 2 billion buy that we were looking at, or 20 billion buy from BMNR, just one company out of many companies that are doing this. So again, just take it for what it's worth. I think that's a good rotation, but you got to do you, man, and always think about taxes.
Been almost 5 years since Ethereum saw its highs. And using various metrics, including research by Sean Farrell, gets us to roughly 10 to 12,000 by the end of the year. So there's still a lot of upside from here. And keep in mind, as we highlighted yesterday, the Bank of America survey shows that just 9% of investors have exposure to crypto, while 48% have exposure to gold. There's still a lot.
Average allocation is 3.2% out of just the 9% that have exposure. So we're only looking at 3.2% out of 9%. The other 91% don't have exposure at all. But even out of the 9% that do, it's only 3.2.
A lot of folks who are skeptical.
And what he said there, I talked over it, but 48% of investors have exposure to gold. So gold, much bigger vessel, and some of these guys are more likely to take, I think gold is topped. I haven't said that in a while, but I think it's finally happened. So let me just talk to this here. So what we have here is a rising, like a rising channel. And this is basically like a bear flag. If you look at it, if you ignore the wicks, it's either a bear flag or a rising broadening wedge. Either one of those is bad. And we can draw it down to here just to where it doesn't look as bad. But either one of these is bad. Whether it's a bear flag or a rising broadening wedge, this is bad. And so what's fascinating about this is you have, I don't even know what's the cap right now on gold. And then you have down here, I need to kill a few things because there's just like too many lines. So if you look over here, just over this time frame, this is on the weekly chart, you could see essentially a divergence that's happening to the downside that's been going on for years, like almost 2 years. As this thing has been going up, this is kind of weakening. You've got a lower high over here, and you've got an overall trend down. So you got a bearish divergence on gold, and this is like a huge asset compared to Bitcoin. So I think we could see a lot of capital flight out of this into Bitcoin and into Ethereum and other things as they have strong narratives. So I agree with him 100%. I think that this is something people aren't talking about. It's a big deal. Again, only 9% of investors with an average of only 3.2% of their portfolio have exposure to crypto in any way. But 48% have gold with an average allocation of 41%.
Well, 48% of exposure
Can see that changing.
to gold. There's still a lot of folks who are skeptical. And if you want to have exposure to Ethereum,
DLO is something I'm not even paying attention to because I'm so out of the money. I saw that it's not completely worthless on my calls, but whatever.
you can buy the Ethereum ETF, or you can buy these Ethereum treasuries, which are similar to MicroStrategy. And the biggest of these is Bitmine. And as Kathy Wood of ARK Invest said, that she believes that in certain industries, it's a winner-take-most dynamic. And she was actually interviewed on CoinDesk today talking about ETH. She says that she thinks ETH is becoming an institutional protocol. Coinbase is building its layer 2 on Ethereum. Robinhood is building its layer 2 on Ethereum. The stablecoin boom is mostly happening on Ethereum. Ethereum treasuries offer utility and staking, unlike Bitcoin treasuries. And she had a thesis that Ethereum would be the institutional protocol, and it's now playing out in real time. And it's the first time that ARK has been able to take a solid position on ETH. And they're investing in Tom Lee's BMNR, the largest ETH treasury in the world.
Who's Tom Lee?
And the other trade I want to highlight because of CPI is, again, we said that you want to own small caps as you eye 2026, especially as the Fed turns dovish. And that's what happened today. We had a 3% rally in small caps. And small caps, by the way, and Ethereum really move in sync, as you can see here. And a dovish Fed is upside for both. So keep in mind, this remains the most hated V-shaped rally. We'd like you to stay on target, and just keep in mind, it is still the most hated V-shaped rally. Thank you.
All right. So I agree with all of that. And also, guys, look here. We're at 40 or 47.20 now on Ethereum. So this thing is still screaming higher, up almost 3% on the day. It's beautiful. Yeah, another chest pound by Tom Lee. Good stuff. All right. So let's see. AI and chips. What else did we have here? So we had, Elon Musk saying the big fight between him and Sam Altman. Why does ChatGPT mark certain links as unsafe like x.com, but not some others? So again, there's a dispute with Apple and a lawsuit about them basically preventing other AI companies from being able to do well in the Apple Store and promoting ChatGPT. I think Sam Altman murdered one of his developers. I think that's pretty clear. There's a lot of really bad stuff going on that front. Sam Altman, guys, Elon asked who is more trustworthy, Elon Musk or Sam Altman on ChatGPT 5 Pro. And he said, just give me one name, keep it simple. And it responded with Elon Musk. So it's pretty insane. And then here, outside of all the chaos, Elon said video games will be dynamically generated by Grok in the future. And so this is showing Imagine. Can you guys imagine this? There's this Star Trek, The Strange New World, this latest series of Star Trek. I like that better because it's like less dystopian. But in one of the recent episodes that they had, maybe from a couple of weeks ago, they showed the first holodeck experience in Star Trek, and there's going to be it's going to be like that. These games are going to have like storylines. So you can just basically tell the AI what you want to have like here's the kind of game I'm looking for. Here's what I want to play, and it could generate this stuff in real time, like a holodeck and VR goggles. Shit is gonna get wild. Things are gonna get wild, and the fact that you can do anything like this in real time with a prompt is crazy. But I do think that a lot of games are going to be developed inside of Grok. And if you look here, Elon said Grok wins hands down at coding. Grok 4 beats ChatGPT by a mile, almost double. Cost in, output, and then accuracy, and then latency. So, very interesting. And here's another one here too. Grok Imagine doing 2077 Cyberpunk. This is just nuts. The fact that it can do this and create these things in real time is fucking insane. Holodeck with blondes wins AI race. Yes, sir. Aaron G, please say allegedly when accusing someone of murder. Nah, Sam's a murderer. He's allegedly definitely a murderer. He's a piece of shit. Jesse Cohen, sue me, Sam Altman, you piece of fucking shit. All right, Jesse Cohen. NVIDIA is a beast. Who rules the chip world? $4.205 trillion. And then you look at Broadcom, TSMC, Samsung, ASML, AMD, Texas Instrument, Qualcomm, ARM, and Applied Materials make up less than NVIDIA. It's insane. Everyone just talks about ChatGPT. Well, I mean, maybe that's because in the Apple Store, that's the only one you see. Right? Makes sense. Makes sense if it's the only one you ever get to see. But Grok is going to dwarf all of them. Elon said by the end of the year, there's nothing going to be close to it. And that 4.2 Grok will hopefully be number one on the leaderboard here by the end of this month, beating Gemini 2.5, which is insane. Oh, anyway, what else we got? I think that's it for the AI chip stuff. Yeah, no, Sam Altman is a piece of shit. He's one of the worst fucking human beings ever. He cares about money. He doesn't care about the future of humanity. I think he's a fucking horrible person, and I think he murdered that dude. I think he murdered him. And even his own sister fucking hates him. And again, she's supposed to be a black sheep. Sam Altman is the same fucking guy who said, oh, I don't even get a paycheck, guys. I don't even care about money. And then, what's he driving? A fucking Bugatti. A Bugatti. And then he wants to get paid out with a huge fucking check. No, he's such trash. Such a trashy human being. All right. Now you guys know how I really feel. I agree with you, but murder is a serious... Yeah, he's a murderer. And it is a serious accusation. You should watch the Tucker Carlson interview with the mother and look through everything that happened with that, and you guys can come up with what you think of Sam Altman. I think he's a murderer. And that's my view, and I'm allowed to have one. That's how life works. Especially this day and age, I can really have one, which I love. He's definitely a murderer. Gemini, you can say that. I'm okay with that. Everyone is sleeping on Solana right now, I said, while they watch Bitcoin and Ethereum scream higher. So again, Solana is up almost 6% today. Ethereum's crushing it. I put it down in the bottom corner because it's up almost 3% today and nearing its all-time high. You see that little line right there? That's the all-time high for Ethereum, guys. But Solana is also looking badass, up 6.1% on the day, sitting almost at $204. And I think in very short order, this thing could go up like a huge amount. And I think the cycle, again, we're talking about 800 to the thousands. Pretty big deal. Pretty big deal with Solana. I think way too many people are sleeping on it. Again, I don't know what I'm sitting on in the treasuries. I think 250 to 300,000. I think that can go up a lot. You have to sign up on X, not a YouTube link. I don't know what you mean. For what? Sorry, what are we talking about? I know. Echo says, I know you don't hold MSTR anymore. I actually do have just a little bit. But a quick look at the chart. Yeah, sure. We can do that. I need to look at Tesla too. And I actually probably need to talk about Tesla a little bit. So this is actually good. So we started to break out and then we stopped. Whatever. I don't think MSTR is going to perform as well as everybody wants it to. Maybe the cycle ends at 750. just less than a doubling of where we are right now. But we did. So again, we originally broke out of this trend. Yeah, again, there was resistance over here. You can see it with this little line. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Broke out, stopped, broke down, went underneath, bounced off the 100, and now we're establishing support again at this level that was previously resistance. So this looks like a back test to me, and it looks like it's healthy. And we'll get confirmation once we start going higher over here. I got to lock this in. Here, let me move this back. So once we go higher over here, let me lock that. That'll be great. And once we break above this, it'll be like you'll be set. The measured move of what I'm looking at here is off of what I believe is a cup and then a handle. Cup, handle, and maybe this is a larger cup and handle here that's forming, and so maybe it gets us a little bit higher up to this level. One could conservatively say that depending on the cup and handle that you're looking at, it could be up here too. And so maybe that's our max range for this cycle is up here to the 800. I think 800 to 1,000 is like your max on this chart. I don't think it's going to go much higher. It's a huge vessel, guys. It's $111 billion. If it goes up 114 and it's a $250 billion company or close to it, I don't think anybody can complain at all. I don't think they can complain. I think you should be happy if you get that. I mean, that is not $250 billion is not a bad number for a company that was way smaller than that a while ago. Ding, ding, ding. We got the ding, ding, ding. We can look at that for a second, and then I'm probably going to bail. And then you guys can go over and hang out with Amit and spend some time with him. I'll look at the pre-market because this will take a second to update. So pre-market looked okay. Tesla up flat, pretty much. Looks like it's flat and open. MicroStrategy up 0.76%. Mara up 1.1. CleanSpark up 2.32. Love to see it. MetaPlanet up 2.18. Again, I said we already hit the bottom, so we're starting to see a bounce there. DFDV is only up about 16%. Upexi's up about 17%. I say only. TSFWCF is up almost 2%, so the smarter web companies finally getting a bounce. BMNR